What's up guys, Kyle here again, and today we are taking a look at the Barton High Voltage Transmission 50. Let's do it. Alright, hope you guys are doing great out there today. If this is your first time here at my channel, my name is Kyle, and what I do is I take awesome high gain amplifiers, overdrives, guitar cabs, speakers, pickups. I record them with a simple SM57 setup, and I give you guys the unprocessed audio on your end. So if you're into E standard thrash riffs, drop C hardcore riffs, and why does that look so dark? Hopefully that doesn't look that way when we're done with the video. You're in the right place. Consider hitting the like button and subscribing on the way out so you don't miss any more of my stuff. Thanks. We are taking a look today at a very special amplifier. This is not one that you guys are gonna see a whole lot of out in the wild. This is the Barton High Voltage Transmission 50. And Caleb at Barton High Voltage actually reached out and asked me if I wanted to check this amplifier out and do a demo. And I kind of asked him, I'm like, what does it sound like? Because truthfully, I had never heard of Baltic birch plywood. This is gonna be a great video. Truthfully, I have never heard of Barton High Voltage before, and really didn't know what to expect by looking at it. To me, it kind of has that orange mad amp, like doom, stoner rock style aesthetic to it. I think it's a really cool amp, cool looking amp, don't get me wrong. I think it looks cool, but that's just, when I looked at it, that was the first impression that I had. And while he does make an amp in that vein called the Transistor 50, the Transmission 50 is kind of like his 2-channel, tight, high gain offering, and it's exactly that. It's a really cool sounding amplifier. I'm really glad that Caleb reached out to me to demo this thing here on the channel, because I really enjoy this amp, and I think it's got something special going on. But yeah, with that being said, before I start talking too much, we're just gonna jump right into this thing, because we got a lot of stuff to showcase here. This thing has some really cool features. As always, we are going into a Mesa 412 traditional cab, and I have the stock vintage 30s in there. We've got an SM57 on the vintage 30s. And here we are playing the Balaguer Typhon with a Duncan distortion pickup. In the intro clip, we were on the high gain channel. We had the tight switch on. This has a power amp voicing in the back for dark or for bright. We are on the dark setting, and I had my Boss SD1 on. We're gonna turn the SD1 off. And Caleb sent this amp all the way from Oregon for me to make a demo, so I know I'm typically a no cleans type of guy, but we're just gonna dive into the cleans for just a second, just so I feel like I do this man some justice on his clean channel, because the clean channel is excellent. And then we will go over to the belligerent high gain channel and play some E standard thrash riffs and drop C hardcore riffs. All right, so we have a nice chimey, scooped clean tone going on there. We can actually pull even more mids out of that. Nice and chimey, super clear. Let's switch over to the bright section on the power section, the bright switch on the power section. All right, so as you can tell, this amp has incredible cleans. I'm sure that this would be an awesome pedal platform as it is, but yeah, there's the clean channel. So let's go ahead and go over into the gains channel, because that is why you guys are here. We're gonna turn the tight switch off, the boost is off, we are going to start on the high or the bright power amp setting. We will move over to the dark as we go, and I'm gonna show you what this amp is capable of on the gain channel with no boost in front. As I said, this is a 50-watt amplifier. The power section on this amp contains KT66 power tubes, so you're gonna get a lot of top-end aggression, and you're gonna get a pretty fat low end as well. So if you were to change those KT66s out for something else, it would change up the feel and the character of the amp a little bit, but KT66, that's pretty unique. Not a lot of amps out there are putting KT66s in stock. The Omega Grandifier is really the only one I know of offhand, so another cool feature to this already unique amp. But let's go ahead and let's hear some tones. Gain is at 9 o'clock. I have no boosts on. So that is what we have with everything at noon and the gain at 9 o'clock. I guess I should have put the presence at noon. All right, now everything's really at noon. So let's go ahead, let's boost the bass, let's boost the gain. Very kind of Marshall-y mid-forward. It definitely has, this amp has a lot of mid presence overall, not just upper mids, but it is very full in the mid-range period. Let's get that gain up to noon. I guess I could attempt like a lower gain classic rock style riff and see how it sounds. Let's turn the mids back a little bit so it's not quite so honky and wah-y in the mids. And that gives you a slightly more modern tone. Let's bump that mid up. Yeah, that is your classic Marshall style mid all day long. Just really forward. The amp is very percussive. It's very aggressive sounding. For as British sounding as it is, it might be a little bit more on the orange just because the mid is a little bit more round than a Marshall would be. Marshall's very pointed in the upper mids. Orange style amps are a little bit rounder and a little bit more honky in the mids, for lack of a better word, a little bit nasally. And that's kind of what I'm getting out of this thing right now. Very cool. There is lots of string definition going on here. There is lots of really cool harmonics and chime in the top end. This is a bright amp overall. That is definitely how I would describe it. The upper frequencies are definitely very prominent. So that is something that you have to keep in mind as you were kind of balancing things out. But as we push that gain up, let's see what kind of saturation we get. All right, we're getting closer. Let's get that up even higher. All right, now we're starting to get into high gain territory. Let's roll that mid back. Let's push that bass up. A little bit muffled overall with the gain higher. Let's turn that presence up. Plenty of gain on tap. The low end is almost kind of like Soldano-like, where it's got a little bit of a sag to a little bit spongy, a little squishy, but on this amp, you have a tight switch. So you engage that tight switch. Not only does that enhance your upper mids and everything, but it also tightens that low end up, definitely makes it more percussive overall. So I'm going to push that bass up. We're almost all the way up on the bass, and that is one area where I feel the amp is lacking just a little bit, but we'll touch on that later because I have some good news as far as that goes. But yeah, let's pull those mids back just a tad again. We got the bass up a little bit more. Tight switches on. We still don't have a boost on in front of this amp. Alright, so like I said, lots of really cool harmonics and string definition. Let's go turn the presence up just a bit. Let's get that gain up just a little bit more. And let's actually push those mids a tad. All right, so we are definitely getting to that very saturated high gain territory. When we remove the mids, it gives us a very modern voicing, but without the amp sounding muffled or anything. Now this has all been on the bright setting of the power amp. Let's switch it over to the dark setting. Immediately the amp is a little bit smoother and it has more low end frequencies for sure. Turn the mids up just a tad. So there is a little bit of that low end and low mid that we were missing. Let's get the gain just about all the way up. All right, so one unique thing about this amp is the treble control has a ton of range. So even if you were the type of dude that likes to play the doom and stoner riffs occasionally, all you gotta do is roll that treble back to about here. Bump the presence up a little bit, bump the mids. And it really rounds the tone out quite a bit. It takes a lot of that high end off, but if you turn it back up to right around noon, it's right back into that cutting territory. Let's pull that presence back a tad. Now this is certainly an amp where a lot of the magic is in the power amp of this thing, because the power amp really kind of brings things alive. It really adds a lot of that harmonic content that you're hearing. It brings forward some of the higher frequencies, but in a good way, in a way that's gonna cut like you would not believe. Let's pull some of those mids out. And as it's dialed now, we have plenty of low end, even in the tight mode. Once we kick an overdrive in, the amp does thin out just a tad. I'm gonna kick in the Electric Eye Audio Mud Killer, and let's see how the amp sounds with this overdrive in front of it. All right, that sounds incredible. I wish it had just a tad more low end punch, but as I am telling you this, I actually relayed my notes to Caleb because he was asking me for genuine feedback, which I think is really cool. I've had people ask me for genuine feedback before, and when I gave it to them, they didn't like what I had to say. but you asked. But anyways, Caleb actually wanted to hear my opinions, and what I said was I felt like this amp could use a little bit more low end because we have the low end basically dimed at this point. I would like it so that this setting right here is kind of, you know, noon, 1 o'clock, and we still have some range on it to really push that low end. Because myself, I like a Titan percussive low end, but I know that there are a lot of people out there that like even more low end than I do. Some of you guys even criticize me for not having enough low end in my tone. So with that in mind, I told Caleb maybe a little bit of a low end bump in the preamp circuit would be a nice touch, and adding a resonance control or a depth control would be a huge plus to this amp, because as it stands now, it does not have any sort of depth or resonance control for the power amp. And guess what? He said, yeah, let's do that. And he listened, and now moving forward, all of these amps are going to have a little bit more bass in the preamp, and they're gonna have a depth control. So I just thought that that was really cool that he was genuinely looking for feedback, and he listened to what I had to say, and you know, he took it seriously and literally went ahead and modified all of the amps moving forward to have those changes. And I think that that's awesome, and I personally think that the amp will be better for it, and I think that a lot of people who come to this channel who want similar tones like myself, they will appreciate that too if they purchase one of these amps down the road. So I just thought that was really cool. I wanted to highlight that. Thanks, Caleb, for being open. But again, we're here for tone, so I'm gonna stop talking. I just wanted to point that out to you guys. We're gonna pull the gain back a little bit. Let's try my favorite, the Deadwell Duality in front of this amp, and see how it handles that overdrive. Awesome. So not only do we have a tight switch down here, but we have a boost switch. And this is foot switchable along with the channel. I believe, Caleb, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you kick the switch in, it actually makes things quite a bit louder, and this amp is already irresponsibly loud for 50 watts, guys. This thing is obnoxiously loud, so you're gonna have to pull that volume back. So the boost actually kind of rounds the amp off even a little bit more, seems to add a little bit of output in front, but also makes the amp louder. So it's kind of like a good solo or lead boost, but I personally like the amp with the boost on because it just kind of levels it out just enough. If you can't tell, I'm having a lot of fun playing this amp. The boost, like I said, it adds enough low end and it kind of rounds the amp out just a tad, it adds some higher frequencies. I think it sounds really, really good. I really enjoy this amp. Yeah, I really like it. So I'm gonna kick that off. Let's try the Boss SD1. Takes a little bit more low end and gain out. Let's bump that gain up. This amp sounds awesome, guys. I really, really dig it. Last but not least, let's kick on the M77, see how it handles that overdrive. Incredible. All three of those overdrives sound really awesome in front of this amp. I love the way that we have it dialed in right now, but I liked the Mud Killer the best So let's drop this thing down. All right, D standard, but we're gonna get a little bit more presence. We're gonna get a little bit more treble on this. That sounds absolutely nasty for drop tuning. We're going down to drop C. Alright guys, that is going to do it for me today on the Barton Transmission 50. What did you guys think of this amp? I think that this is something really cool, very unique. I think especially in a front-loaded cab, the Mesa cabs tend to not be super tight on the low end. They're not flubby, they're just a little softer on the low end. If I were to put this through a front-loaded K100 cab, I think that this thing would punch like no other and sound absolutely incredible. It's already super aggressive. It's already super mid-forward, so when you tune low, those frequencies really stand out. It's got a lot of awesome harmonic content. It's got plenty of gain on tap. It's got a killer clean channel, multiple power amp settings for the brightness, tightness, a built-in boost. It's just a really cool amp all around. I really enjoyed demoing this thing, so thanks again to Caleb for sending this out. Now, if you want to order one of these amps, it's going to set you back between $2,800 and $3,000, depending on the options that you go with, and build times are about 6 weeks, Caleb told me. At the time of this video, he has one built and ready to go, but if you would like to get one ordered and that one is not in stock, you're gonna wait about 6 weeks, and again, $2,800 to $3,000 for everything that you get in this amp. Not only is it a super unique sounding amp, it's a super unique looking amp. You're definitely gonna stand out having this thing sitting on top of a cab. And the boost controls, the power amp settings, now you're gonna get an added depth control that this one does not have. You're getting a lot for your money. It's a really, really great sounding amp. What more can you ask for? Seriously, I'm really impressed with this thing. I really enjoy it. And Caleb and I are actually talking about making me a custom 100 watt one channel version of this amplifier. And because it's custom, he's gonna allow me to name it. So I need you guys' help in order to name the amp. So when I go to order it, we have a name for this thing. So in true belligerent amateur fashion, drop those name ideas down below in the comments, and I will go through them, and we will pick a winner. Whatever is the coolest and the best sounding is what that amp is going to be named when I order it. And then once we get it on the channel, I'll make a demo of that custom amp. I can't wait for it. I'm already super pumped. One more note, I am of course going to have a full custom Kemper pack of this amp. Caleb gave me his blessing to get some Kemper profiles out into the world, as he's a man who understands advertising. And if you guys get to check this out on a Kemper, I really think that it's going to lead you into wanting one of the physical amps. So I am going to put together a Kemper pack on this amp, probably somewhere roughly around 20 direct input profiles with different settings engaged on the amp, different overdrives baked into it, and that'll probably run you somewhere around 10 bucks. So I think it is a cool segue into checking one of these amps out for yourself. So if you guys want to purchase that Kemper pack, that's going to be down below in the description and in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to support the channel, what it is I do here, down in the description are all my other support links, including my Sweetwater affiliate link, or you can add your name to this list of fine people by joining my Patreon community and supporting the channel that way. I'll love you forever, whether you want me to or not. If you haven't liked and subscribed already, what the hell is wrong with you? Just go ahead and do it. You know you want to. That way you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. Thanks again for watching, guys. Kyle here again, and we'll see you next time. Again. You know what this wall is missing? Another amp. There we go.